Well, Duke, it's our last summer show, is how I'm going to put this. Because next week we're going to do our full Big 12 football season extravaganza preview, give our power rankings, big predictions, awards, hot seat meter, all that good stuff. And today we're going to close out our season outlooks as week 0. From the time of recording is 10 days away. From the time that you're listening is 9 days away. TCU taking on North Carolina in Dublin. This time last year, I was hopping on a plane to go to Dublin.
You were, and this time last year I had serious FOMO until I found out how much that trip was going to cost. But no, I am jealous of that. So it's pretty cool that TCU gets to start out in Dublin. I still do wish that game was on campus, whether it be in Fort Worth or Chapel Hill. But I don't know. I think a lot of eyeballs will be watching that game. I think it's the only 11 a.m. game that Saturday, correct? I don't think there's any other game on the slate.
I think that's usually how they do it.
Yeah.
And then there's like 7 or 8 games later that day as well.
And I think it's a big opportunity for the Big 12 to get I don't want to say a signature win, but at least like a game where everybody's literally watching because we're all starving for college football. So even if it is against North Carolina and the disaster, by the way, that is going on in Chapel Hill between Michael Lombardi getting fired, Bill Belichick, I think his son's out of the program now. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's old as shit. His girlfriend's young as shit. That place is just an absolute shit show, and I'm here to watch it because I hope TCU just beats the brakes off.
They
of
should,
them.
right?
They should. They're going to be a double-digit favorite. They have to be at this point. So I just hope they beat the shit out of North Carolina, and it just sends that North Carolina program with Bill with his tail between his legs back home to Chapel Hill.
Well, before we dive into week 0, we are going to finish up our season outlooks. We've got the returners from the Big 12 championship last year, Texas Tech and BYU. We're going to look at their teams, talk some Big 12 quarterbacks, and we're going to draft the best chip flavors. All of that coming up after the cold open.
Jake Brend and Derek Duke break down everything you need to know throughout the Big 12. This is Bigger Than 12, presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Bigger Than 12 on Iowa Everywhere.
It is Bigger Than 12 here in the Channel Seed Studios. We are approaching year 3 of the program.
God,
can't believe it.
No, I can't. We still haven't celebrated like our 100th episode. I think we're maybe going to try to do that next week when we do our season extravaganza preview, whatever you want to call it. But no, I can't believe this is our 3rd season already. Time just flies by. It's unbelievable. I can't even remember. It just feels like we started this thing yesterday.
I mean, when I was saying it, I couldn't believe. I was trying to think, is this year 2? Is this year 3? It is year 3, which is crazy. So we know what we're doing now, I think.
Yeah, we didn't even meet until like 6 months later.
Yeah. Yeah, first time meeting in person, yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to get this thing kicked off. We're going to look into 2 more teams today before we really launch into the season next week. But it's coming up. It's in the distance. Like
I can smell it.
This is no longer we're talking about, okay, we need football to get here. We need football to get here. It is here, and if you take a couple sleeping pills, it'll be there when you wake up. And that's the best time of year. Can't wait for it. And we appreciate Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax for being along for the first 2 seasons of Bigger Than 12, and they're sticking around for year 3 as well. Wealth Charter is the spot to be when you want to set up your retirement accounts, when you want to have some help with taxes, if you've left a job and you've got a 401k that's just sitting somewhere, they can have that money, make money for you. Hit up wealthcharterretirement.com and meet with Tim Hawkins and his team in their Ankeny office, locally owned, and they do exactly what you need. Simplify your wealth. wealthcharterretirement.com. Well, let's start with the BYU Cougars. BYU brings back a lot, fresh off of their runner-up Big 12 season. But let's start with what they lose first. They lose their defensive coordinator, Jay Hill, as rival Kyle Whittingham took him with to Michigan, which is a bit weird. They lose their top 3 receivers, Chase Roberts, Parker Kingston, and the tight end, Carson Ryan. The good news, they only lose 1 starter on the offensive line and only 3 defensive starters. While they return a lot, quarterback Bear Bachmeier, who is a star as a freshman, Big 12 preseason player of the year, LJ Martin, 4 starters on the offensive line, a couple receivers with some catches, JoJo Phillips, we'll get into that, Tiger Bachmeier. Neither of those guys had more than 200 yards last season, though, so we'll talk about our questions we've got. Plus 8 defensive starters, tons of depth. They promote Kelly Poppinga from the special teams and defensive end coach to new defensive coordinator. They bring in Cade Ulavala, I think is how you say it. 97
Close
tackles,
enough.
3 sacks as a junior at Cal. Kyler Casper, who was a target for Iowa, only 6 catches and 77 yards over 4 years at Oregon, but was once a very, very highly sought-after prospect. So that's the rundown. Not a ton to discuss when it comes to what they lose and what they bring, I guess, are bringing in, because this is about what they've got coming back. And what they've got coming back is Bear Bachmeier, who was probably the best true freshman quarterback in all of college football last year. To me, the question is, does he go from a really good story, who was a really good quarterback, to elite? And that determines BYU's ceiling for me, is if he can become the best quarterback in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think you look at his numbers last season, and I probably expected more. It's been a while since I looked at the numbers for BYU, really since last year. But when you're looking at his passing numbers, you're really not that impressed. He did throw for over 3,000 yards, which for a true freshman is pretty damn impressive. Rushed for 500 plus 26 total touchdowns. I think just the way I got the chance to see him in person last year up close at the Big 12 championship game. The guy is just built like a freaking truck, man. I like to call him like a Tim Tebow light, and I mean that in the best way possible, because the way his lower body is built looks like an old school NFL fullback. And if you're standing in his way at the goal line, I mean, good luck stopping the guy. So, but you're right. I think as a passer, we've got to see a little bit more, because if he does take that next step, you're right. I think BYU, I mean, not only can get in the Big 12 championship game, but if he takes that next step, I think BYU can maybe win the Big 12 championship game against Texas Tech. So I'm a big fan of Bear Bachmeier's. I hope he's going to do great things this year. And then, of course, you pair him with LJ Martin, the reigning Big 12 player of the year as well, probably the best running back in the conference. So that 1-2 punch in the backfield with those two running the football, I mean, good luck to anybody stopping that. But I do have some question marks at receiver, who's going to be catching some of the passes for them. And they do return, I think, 3 starters up front on that offensive line. So I think there's not really going to be any issues with BYU running the football. I'm just kind of curious to see what that passing game looks like.
Yeah, this is going to be my carbless refreshing take, and allow me a second to get to my point. Carbless premium, handcrafted cocktails, emphasis on premium. I'm sure I'll be having a carbless or two at the Iowa Everywhere party on Friday night, the live show. Be sure, if you didn't get tickets, hopefully you're able to get tickets the next time we do this, because we plan on this event being a massive success. So we plan on hopefully doing this at another time. But if you can't make it, be sure to check out the free live stream. It starts at 7:30. It's going to be so entertaining. Mackenzie Edie, Jenny Murphy, Scott Spopker, Chris Williams, Chris Hassel, Keith Murphy, Andy Fales. No me, that's fine though. People don't want to hear from me anyways. But besides the point, drink a carbless at home while you're watching the live stream. And my carbless refreshing take of the week, I want to draw a parallel to Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy and Bear Bachmeier had very similar freshman seasons. When you, maybe not looking at the numbers, but when you look at the storylines, when you look at how it happened. Last year, what's-his-face, Jake Retzloff was supposed to be the quarterback at BYU. He had a scandal in the offseason where he was found not guilty, charges were dropped, but he admitted...
He was having sex.
He admitted to having consensual sex, which gets you kicked off of BYU. And they were put in a very, very, very weird situation, and a hard situation, to where you didn't know who their quarterback was going to be. They throw this true freshman in there, and Bachmeier was better than everybody expected, and he led BYU to the Big 12 championship game. He won a couple games by himself down the stretch. He's a gamer. He's a winner. A lot of the same parallels to Brock Purdy. They're supposed to have Kyle Kempt that year. Kempt goes down. The backup's not very good. They switch to Purdy. The rest is history. Purdy has one of the best freshman seasons of any college quarterback that year. Where's the biggest parallel to me, though? The weapons. Purdy's freshman year, he had Hakeem Butler, David Montgomery. He would just chuck the ball up to Hakeem Butler. He'd come down with it. He'd hand the ball off to David Montgomery, and Montgomery would do the things that he did. Now, Bear's able to bring back LJ Martin. Purdy did not have that luxury. Purdy lost both those guys after his freshman year, and he had to not learn the offense, but learn how to do offense without his star players. Bachmeier's in a similar spot. Chase Roberts was an unbelievable wide receiver, and I saw him up close in Ames. That guy catches everything. He is a burner. Parker Kingston was the same way, and I know he's had his run-in with some legal troubles as well. I don't know the latest on that, but I know he won't be a part of the BYU football team this year. Those are two safety valves that he always had, and Bachmeier is going to have to learn how to win without those guys catching balls. Now, the good news is he still has LJ Martin by his side, and that's what's refreshing for me, is it probably will be a bit of a learning curve for Bachmeier when it comes to replacing those receivers. Who's going to be the new guy that you trust? Who are you going to go to in critical moments? But when you don't know those answers, you can still lean on LJ Martin, who is the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, and I think that's really important for Bachmeier. And I really do think that having LJ Martin will help Bachmeier continue to elevate himself into the upper echelon of college football quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned the offensive line. I think returning a few veteran starters fronts are really going to help that as well. And they do bring in, I think, Kyle Casper and JoJo Phillips are going to be some names to watch at the wide receiver position. So I think they're going to be okay. Obviously, replacing some of those other guys they had last season with Roberts and Kingston, that's going to be tough. But again, if Bear progresses this season and takes that next step, which I think we can assume he will. I mean, playing as a true freshman and having a full year of starting underneath your belt, I think that's a big plus in this league. And then plus, I don't know, just BYU in general, to me, always is able to find sneaky good players, if that makes sense. It's just like no matter what kind of holes that they have, they always seem to have guys step up, whether it was people they brought in or people within the program. So I feel pretty good about BYU in this offense. I'm not questioning it too much. And then, if we want to look at the defense, I think they're going to be pretty good as well. I don't know if they're going to be as good as they were last year. But when you throw a guy like Bear Bachmeier, LJ Martin, the offensive line, and this defense, their linebacking position you mentioned earlier is absolutely loaded. The secondary, I thought, did a great job of adding some key pieces as well. Again, I think they're going to be fine. Maybe a slight drop-off, but if the offense takes the next step, they're going to pick up that slack from the defense. I think it's hard for me to sit here and say BYU is not a legitimate Big 12 title contender, because I think they're absolutely one of the two best teams in the Big 12.
And you look at their schedule as well. They have maybe the most important game of any Big 12 team this year, because they get Notre Dame. And they are probably Notre Dame's only tough game. That game is on Saturday, October 17th. Oh, that's Iowa State's bye week. Oh, let's go. That's a game that I will absolutely want to have on standalone viewing. But you look at Notre Dame's schedule, outside of them playing Miami, and I guess you could make the argument for SMU, BYU will be their toughest test. And that game, aside from just getting a big win for the team and for the season, that will have so many perception takes coming from it. That is what that game is about. Need BYU to show up. Out in Provo, Like that environment will be on fire because you look at their schedule leading up to that. They'll beat Utah Tech. They should beat Arizona at home. Not a guarantee by any stretch. Colorado State should be a win. TCU, BYU's a better team. Iowa State, they should beat Iowa State. So there's a very real possibility that BYU's 5-0 when absolutely should be undefeated Notre Dame comes to Provo. And that will be the single game, other than whoever represents the league in the college football playoff, that defines the Big 12 season, defines the perception, fair or not.
I think you can make a case. Aiden put the schedule up. Thank you, Aiden. But you can make the case if you're watching here on the screen. They have 2 games on their schedule that may be the most important in the entire Big 12. Obviously, BYU this year does not get Texas Tech for good reason, because we don't need to see that matchup twice potentially again down the road and hurt our chances in the playoff. But first of all, looking at that Notre Dame game on October 17th, you think about the non-conference matchups we have in the Big 12, there aren't a ton of great ones. One of the ones I just thought of that came to mind was Arizona State playing in College Station, playing Texas A&M.
Yeah,
that's
a tall task.
Very tall task for Arizona State, who I don't think is going to finish in the top half of the league. Don't know but if they hang in there, play a close game, I think that's still good for the perception of the league. If you have kind of a middle-tier team playing with an upper echelon SEC team, I think that's going to be huge. But that Notre Dame game maybe is the biggest non-conference game in the Big 12. And since the conference does not have a ton of opportunities against these blue blood programs, I think that one alone is probably the most important. And you mentioned the perception of the league. I mean, if you get a win over Notre Dame and Notre Dame sitting there at 11-1, the only thing to compare BYU, if BYU sitting 11-1 and Notre Dame sitting there 11-1, the only thing you can compare them to is that head-to-head. So if they get a win over Notre Dame, it's hard for me to say this team's not going to make the playoff. Obviously, that game against Utah that I also mentioned, going to be huge. That's going to have Big 12 title game implications as well. But that game against Notre Dame, I think, is the biggest non-conference game in the Big 12. I don't know, maybe in recent history, because I'm trying to think of
I can't think of one bigger.
Yeah, I really can't either, because, again, Notre Dame, I don't know how good Notre Dame's going to be this year. I don't know if they're a national championship contender this year, but
I mean, I think they are. They're a trendy pick to win it all. Marcus Freeman is a great coach. They were there a couple of years ago. They bring back a lot of talent.
It's the name value.
You're not
beating the name value of Notre Dame.
They're not the favorite, but they're absolutely going to be they're top 5 in the odds right now to win it all. So,
and you get them at home. You get them at home. That's a big plus for BYU. If they can win that game, I don't know. I think if they win that game, there's a lot better chance of the Big 12 getting 2 teams in the playoff than not. Not only
is it a big game for the Big 12, it's a big game for the Church of Latter-day Saints going up against the Catholic Church. That's probably a bigger deal than college football playoff implications.
So it's not convicts versus Catholics, it's Mormon versus Catholics now?
It would be that. But I can't think of a bigger game in recent memory for the conference that doesn't... obviously, it's not a college football playoff game. Yeah. I think last year, the Arizona State-Mississippi State game... but that had no reward. That was all just like, if you lose, you're screwed. If you lose,
pressure was on the Big 12 in that game.
In this case, there's probably going to be equal pressure, partly because of the conference needs this. The conference needs BYU to show up. But like you said, Notre Dame needs it too. Because if Notre Dame loses that game, they're probably, no matter what, at 11-1. But if they drop another, that schedule sucks. That schedule really, really sucks. So
did they play Miami before? I didn't see the Notre Dame.
They play Miami after BYU.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
It would have been a lot more interesting if it was before, but I'm not complaining.
I love it. I can't wait for that game. I'm glad that's on Iowa State's bye week. I will be absolutely locked in. I'm not taking Iowa State's bye week off. I know people are asking. I'm not going to a pumpkin patch or anything. I love the sport of college football.
I also hate to say it, but if there was a team you were going to want to play before playing Notre Dame, it's probably Iowa State is in one of those groups.
Yeah, that game at Provo, I don't envision being a ton of fun. But it's nice that it's at least it's got
Friday
trap
night
game potential.
Friday night game, yeah.
That's the good news for Iowa State. All right. Anything else on BYU? I think we kind of hit it. Let's move on.
We'll find out in the next week's preview show, but I think it's safe to say they're like a top 2 or 3, whatever you want to rank them, 1 to 3 team in the conference.
Yeah, I think we save all that.
Okay.
Save our.
That's fair.
I'm gonna go WL every single game.
I did that last night, and our results were pretty interesting to say the least. So I already have my 1 through 16 for next week. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to reveal anything, but it was certainly pretty interesting for me, at least.
Well, I can't wait. I got to do it. And I know a team that will be in the mix is Texas Tech. Haven't heard much from Texas Tech since they lost to Oregon in the college football playoff last year. That's what I respect about their program is they're low key, they stay out of the headlines, and they just focus on football. We probably don't even need to tell you what's gone on with Texas Tech, but I'll just give a very brief rundown, as it has been a while since we've actually seen them on the field. Baron Morton, the quarterback, longtime starter, graduated, and then they brought in Brendan Sorsby, who we're counting as a departure because he's not on the team anymore, the former Cincinnati standout. They lose their leading receiver in Caleb Douglas, 2 starters on the offensive line, and then what I would call their 4 best defensive players. A couple first-round picks. David Bailey had 14.5 sacks last year. Lee Hunter was maybe the best interior lineman in the sport. Romeo Hay, great pass rusher. And then Jacob Rodriguez, who was a fringe Heisman caliber player at linebacker. They're all gone. However, they do return 5-star quarterback Will Hammond, who showed flashes and brief opportunities last season. Leading rusher Cameron Dickey. 3 of their 4 top receivers, Micah Hudson, Coy Eakin, and the tight end Terrence Carter. 3 starters up front on the offensive line. A really good defensive tackle in A.J. Holmes. Big-time linebacker Ben Roberts. And then both starting corners are coming back. They add, not as much as they did last season, but they add quite a bit. Wide receiver Kenny Johnson, who had about 700 yards at Pitt. K-State's best defensive player, linebacker Austin Romaine, who is clearly the replacement for Jacob Rodriguez. Edge rusher Adam Trick, 8.5 sacks at Miami of Ohio. And then a solid defensive tackle from Oregon State. So here's the good news for Tech. They return the most percentage of snaps of any team in the conference. They didn't really lose anybody in the transfer portal that wasn't already going to the NFL draft or out of eligibility. But, like I said, they lose what made them so great last year. They had arguably the best front 7 in the sport. Absolutely the best front 7 in the Big 12. No worse than 5th nationally. And you just look at what their result was in the NFL draft. They had so much talent at the front of that defense. And the good news is they spent a lot to replace those guys again. But you just never know. You don't know how you can replicate that until they actually do that. So that is where the biggest question lies for me with Tech, even though I know it'll all probably be on the quarterback position from a national perspective. I'm focused on how can they get that defensive line to be elite like it was last year.
Yeah, I'm going to refer back to the quarterback position because I do think that is an important topic because you were supposed to have Brendan Sorsby, this All-American quarterback, come in and really put them over the top. And now, obviously, without him, it's going to be Will Hammond. And while he did show flashes last season, like this is now, it's his team. It's his offense. We're going to have to see it week in and week out how he's going to perform. I think there's a ton of pressure on him because you mentioned the guys around him with Eakin and Micah Hudson, Kenny Johnson, and their tight end, and Cameron Dickey in the backfield, Jacoby Williams. They've got the offense. They have everything you could want out of an offense. Like in the Big 12, if you're looking outside the quarterback position, it may be the best offense in the conference. I think you can make a serious case for that, but Are we going to sit here and say Will Hammond's a top 5 quarterback in the Big 12? I don't know we can right now. I don't think we can. No. We don't have enough on paper. We haven't seen enough of Will Hammond to say that. So I think you got to bring that up. We got to talk about that. But if Hammond, if he's great or if he's just good, I don't even think he has to be good. I think if he's just average in the Big 12, I think Texas Tech's going to be fine. Defensively, you're right. I'm curious to see what they're going to look like. I think their linebacker position with Ben White and Austin Romaine coming in from Kansas State, that's probably the best duo in the conference. Their secondary returns a ton of veterans, so if that defensive line is able to get some pressure on opposing quarterbacks, and if Hammond, progresses or at least is pretty compatible this season, it's hard for me to sit here, I think Texas Tech's got to be the clear number one if we see those things. It'll be a few weeks in, and then plus, you avoid BYU. You don't have to play BYU this year. Your toughest game on the schedule is what, Houston? You get them early and you get them at home, so the favorable schedule, the talent that they have, it would be very hard to not put them at 1 this year in the Big 12.
Yeah, I think they'll be back in the Big 12 championship, not to spoil my power rankings for next week. But I don't see their upside as high in the college football playoff as I did last year. And a lot of that comes back to the point you made where Sorsby would have been the guy that took them to that next level. And maybe Hammond is that guy. Like, he had a lot of flashes last year in big moments. I think of what he did at Utah last year. That was impressive.
Yeah.
To me, it just, I don't know. If he's okay, how different are they than last year? Like, if he's just Baron Morton level good, they're going to run into the same problems that they ran into with Oregon, where you've got a good run game, but not a dynamic enough passing game to be able to do much of anything against some of the sport's most elite defenses. And that's what I worry about, combined with just the question marks at the front of the defense. I have no question that they will still be one of the best defensive fronts in the Big 12. That's not what I'm worried about. As last year they were so far and away better than anybody else that was their calling card. And I don't know if it is their calling card. It still could be. They're still spending the most money in the conference. That can't be understated. And they've still got talent at every single position. To me, it's just a matter of that. This is a very important year for Texas Tech to get over that hump in the college football playoff. And I don't know how much better they got while they lose Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah, I don't think we're necessarily comparing them to the rest of the Big 12. I think the way we look at Texas Tech is we're comparing them to
Oregon,
what are they going to
Ohio State.
We're comparing
Georgia.
them to legitimate college football playoff national championship contenders. That's what I'm worried about. I'm not worried about them in the Big 12. I think they'll be fine there, but what are they going to do if they face another Oregon, Ohio State, Georgia, Texas, whoever it may be? How are they going to stack up against those teams? And you're right. I don't know if Will Hammond is necessarily a huge upgrade over Baron Morton. I would like to think he is because he's a little bit more mobile, but at the end of the day, we don't know. And we don't know. It's hard to sit here and say, like, hey, the defensive line is going to be better than what it was a year ago because that defensive line was pretty damn good last season. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. I still have a ton of question marks about Texas Tech, and I am worried that we could be heading down a similar path as what we had last season, but hopefully this year we can at least get another team in. Maybe some things happen. I don't know, but for me, Texas Tech still a great, probably the best odds. Clearly the best odds to win the Big 12, but again, I don't know how I view them on a national scale. Like, I don't know if they're a top 5 team just yet.
I don't think they are at this point, but we haven't seen it. And that's
it's the hard part.
That's the big question. And then there's the pressure of it too. Like, this has been a distraction-heavy offseason. They went from, okay, they might be a little annoying with how they're spending money, and you could think what you wanted about Cody Campbell. Now there's nobody really torn. Like, you're either a Texas Tech fan or you want Texas Tech to lose. I don't know how much that will actually affect them, if at all. But it is an element to where they're a lot more like Texas now than they were last year. Like, last year, I still think they were the I think the majority of the conference was backing them because they knew how important their performance was in the college football playoff. To where now I think a lot of these fan bases do view them like they used to view Texas. And we'll see. That can bring more rowdy road environments, that can have that extra target on their back. But we'll see how much that actually matters.
I'll say this. That game against Houston is by far their toughest game in the Big 12, and it's early. It's on that Friday night that they didn't want to play.
Yeah, they don't want to be there.
No. They'll show up, trust me. There'll be plenty of Tech fans in the stands. That'll be a sold-out game. But I'll say this. If they lose that game, and I know that's a pretty big if right now, but we talked about Houston last week. Houston's pretty damn good from top to bottom on both sides of the ball. They're no slouch. Like, that is a legitimate Big 12 title contender. If they lose that game against Houston, I think all hell can break loose in the Big 12. That is going to open up Pandora's box in the Big 12 if they lose that game. And I don't think anybody's really talking about that because they think Texas Tech is just so much, further and away better than everybody else. But if they lose that game,
don't give Willie Fritz motivation.
I'm telling you, like that, anything can happen in this conference. I think that would make it would hurt the conference's perception, but I think that would make this Big 12 title race that much more fun.
And you look at their season last year. They were dominant, but they still had a couple games that were questionable. They, of course, lost the game to Arizona State on the road, and that was when Barrett Morton was injured.
Yes.
They had a weird game against... Who was it? They
had a couple of games, even against Houston, I believe. They were kind of... Well, I don't know if there was that game. But they felt like on offense, like they never quite were up to full speed.
Yeah.
Like we never saw a game where they were just like, oh my God, their offense looked incredible tonight. It was their defense, and their defense was making plays, and it was just little things here and there where I felt like very few times last season we saw that Texas Tech team clicking and firing on all cylinders.
So this is the game I was thinking of. I'd actually click on the box score because none of the final scores told the story. But the game at K-State, they were up 12-7 at half, 19-14 halfway through the third quarter, and then they were able to pull away in the fourth. That's the game that I was thinking about. Because that was right after their loss against Arizona State. It was either a week or two after. And then you're looking, if Avery Johnson and K-State pulls this off, then Tech is going to have two Big 12 losses. Could they end up in a weird tiebreaker where they don't get in? So they weren't perfect last year, and there will be a learning curve for Will Hammond. And Hammond going up against that Houston defense early in the season, I think does have that potential for a shocker where you're like, what? Texas Tech lost? That is how I think we look back at this season if it is a disappointment. It's that you had a young quarterback who didn't have things all the way figured out, dropped a weird game here, and then, maybe it's at Oklahoma State or at Baylor or something like that late in the season where you're playing against a team that's maybe better than they expected. And you end up at a weird 7-2, like you said, a chaos ensued Big 12. You end up at 7-2. There's four other teams. You lose some tiebreaker based off of who has the tallest skyscraper in your town or whatever the stupid Big 12 tiebreakers are. And then, capiche, Texas Tech is not in the Big 12 title game.
Well, hopefully we don't go by skyscrapers. I don't know who's winning that battle.
Probably Houston, right?
Houston? I think it would be Houston. I think that's the biggest city.
Maybe Salt Lake City?
I think Houston would take that. Houston's like a top 5 city in the United States.
Yeah,
population-wise.
That doesn't necessarily mean they have skyscrapers.
I've been to both.
Okay.
It's Houston.
I'll take your word for it. Well, let's do our Freedom Tire Who Needs a Fix. Locations all across the metro. Ames, Des Moines, West Des Moines, Urbandale, Altoona. They do it all. If you are in the mood for football season, you better get your tires checked, get your oil changed, get your routine checkup at Freedom Tire, because once football is here, then basketball will be here, and once basketball is here, there's going to be 10 feet of snow on the ground, and you don't want to be driving around in bad tires. Hit up freedomtire.com. My freedom tire who needs a fix. My boss and Brent Bloom just had an absurd conversation on Williams and Bloom on Sunday. I don't know if you heard this. They were doing their Big 12 quarterback tiers. So I wrote it down. Their tiers were Tier 1, Devin Dampier, Bear Bachmeier, Noah Fifita, Connor Wegman. That's fine, right? Tier 2 was Avery Johnson and Drew Mestemaker. I don't know how you don't put Mestemaker on Tier 1. I think this comes back to our Utah conversation a few weeks ago. Like, Williams said that he has Dampier as his best quarterback in the league. I don't see that at all. I don't know if I even have Dampier in my top 5. And
Whoa.
I think I don't trust him. He did nothing against good teams last year. Nothing.
Not in your top 5. Really?
I don't think he would be. And we're going to do our Big 12 quarterback draft next week to wrap up the Whiskey River draft season, and we'll do this for sure. But I don't know. I never got the sense last year that he was more than above average. Like, I'd rather have Avery Johnson than Devin Dampier. I would.
I think the upside of Johnson's still something we look and talk about like we're excited about it. I mean, hell, nobody was more excited about it last year than me. I picked the guy as the freaking Big 12 Player of the Year last season. You saw how that turned out. But I think out of the list, I'm fine with Dampier in the Tier 1, Bachmeier, Fifita, Wegman. I think Mestemaker probably belongs in that Tier 1, like you mentioned. That's a guy that threw for, 4,000+ yards last season, nearly like 40 touchdowns, had a completion percentage near 70%. I mean, as a pure passer, there might not be anybody better in the Big 12 than Mestemaker. So I think he definitely belongs in that Tier 1 conversation. As for Dampier, I don't know. I think if you're relying on his arm and his legs, maybe the most balanced when it comes to that, because he really did last year. I think he put up like running back. He had like 800 rushing yards last season. I don't think anybody outside of Wegman was really close to that. And I think if you're looking at him and Wegman, I think they're pretty comparable quarterbacks, but I wouldn't say he's number 1 because to me, it's also, we look at Noah Fifita on that board. That's a guy who threw over 3,200 yards last season and had a career year there in Tucson. So I think Fifita belongs in that conversation. I don't know if I'd pick Devin Dampier number 1, but I think he's in that top 3 or 4 conversation for sure. Like, when it comes to throwing the ball, that's the question. I think his athletic ability is off the charts. Probably the best pure runner at the quarterback position is Dampier, but when it comes to his arm, like, I'm not putting him over some of these other guys. So I think he's in the conversation. I don't think he's 1 though.
What I don't like about Dampier is I'm looking at his splits from last season. In the months of October and November, his completion percentage was 54.6.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you look back at his stats and they're good, but a lot of that was like he torched UCLA. He torched Wyoming. I think that really inflates his stats quite a bit. That's where a lot of his rushing numbers came from as well. He was great in the bowl game against Nebraska, but it's a bowl game. I don't know.
Another year under his belt too. Like, that's going to help as a starting.
Yeah, I'm not saying
New
he's
Mexico
bad.
to Utah last year.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not saying
it was a
he's
big
bad
step
by
up.
any means. I hesitate to put Utah on another tier because they have Dampier.
He's not number
sense.
1. I'll say that. He's not number 1. Not number 1.
Well, that's a big tease to our Whiskey River draft next week.
We're doing a lot of teasing tonight, as you can see. A lot of teasing. More teasing than a strip club here on Bigger Than 12.
Well, we're not going to tease this. It's time for the Iowa trivia question brought to you by none other than Aiden Wyatt. Aiden Wyatt. Brought to you by none other than Aiden Wyatt.
Producing right now.
Oh, my bad.
All right. It is the last week of summer for most schools in the state of Iowa. There are, 327 total school districts in the state of Iowa. Derek Duke, true or false? There are more than 100 schools in Iowa with less than 500 kids within the school district.
When you said 327, that's pretty damn small as it is.
That's just public schools.
Well, we're not going to get into that. I got into that conversation last week on Twitter. That went pretty interesting. So are you counting public? You said you are counting. This is public school only, correct? Or is this Catholic school too? Or private school, whatever you want to say?
Just public.
Just public schools. I'm going to say yes, there are. That's true.
You are correct.
Yeah, I figured it's true.
I felt like that was
around
a pretty
104.
Easy one. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Did you like going to a small school, Aiden?
Loved it. I had 30 kids in my graduating class and wouldn't do it any other way. I think
I had 48, and that at the time, it's changed now, but at the time, that was the biggest class in my school's history. The class below me, however, did I think have 30 or 28 kids. Or no, above me, excuse me. The class above me did have like 28 or 30 kids, which was a huge difference, which is one of the smallest, but small schools rule, man. I love small schools. Those are the best.
Same.
It's no fun. Like, if you can't name every single one of your classmates, it feels weird, does it not?
I mean, I could do that, and my class was like 270.
That's bigger than my entire high school by far. Not even close. I think I had like less than 150 maybe. Like each class had between like 30 and 40, and my class was like the huge one with like 48, I think. So we did not have that many kids.
Aiden, would you say you had a good time when you were at a small school?
Looking for a good time? Thought so. Whiskey River is just the place. We've got the booze, the food, the vibe, and the amazing rooftop patio. The only thing missing is you. Whiskey River.
Whiskey River, locations in Ankeny and in Ames. Duke will be there in about T-minus 18 days. Right around there.
Yeah, I'll be there. Few weeks.
Be there for a burger, a beer.
Yeah.
Chicago Cubs baseball on the telly.
Not going to be there for that, but I'll be there.
Who's the Sunday night college football game this year? Because isn't there always one week one?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I'm sure I can find this pretty quick. It's always a big matchup too.
I don't know if this year, because last year was it Notre Dame and
Miami?
Miami, is that who it was?
So Sunday this year, it's Washington State at Washington.
Oh, the Apple Cup.
Wisconsin Notre Dame at Lambeau Field.
Oh,
Louisville and Ole Miss.
So yeah, we'll probably I'll at least be at Whiskey River.
We'll be there all day. And that's week slate. That's actual that's week one.
Yep. Yeah. September 6th.
You know what's scary?
September 7th, SMU at Florida State.
I'll be watching that too, maybe from another establishment. I think my hotel's literally within like a block of Whiskey River. I'm literally just going to walk there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm staying in that little area of town. I actually just booked my hotel like last week.
Well, you'll have a good time. I'm sure of it.
Oh, I know.
Because it's Whiskey River.
Of course.
And Whiskey River tonight brings us the draft of best chip flavors. I've been hyping myself up all day, getting prepped. This is a big draft. I've shown up. Like, I'm the GM. I take full responsibility for my drafts last 3 weeks. I've been happy with how they've gone despite...
Really?
Yeah, I had draft integrity. I drafted truly what I thought was the best movies, what were the best sandwiches, and I didn't get the belt.
Is that what you're saying? Like me and Aiden?
No,
we did.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I got a lot of comments about being pretentious about movies. And I said, no, these are truly the movies that entertain me the most.
If you're looking for the back-to-back champion, it's me right now.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Jake won like the first 10 drafts.
I did, yeah.
He hasn't won one in a month.
He did, but you know, I'm turning things around. I'm turning this bitch around.
Well, Aiden, you get the first pick. I get the second pick. Duke gets the third.
Ooh.
Are we
How
going?
many are we picking?
Are we doing?
Are we going 5?
5 picks each again. It's kind of been the trend these last couple weeks. This is a big one.
So this is flavor or type or a mix of both?
So like we
I think
can
it could be
all
a mix.
like we could. This could be a draft of like 15 different Doritos flavors, essentially.
Yes.
So like there could be 3 different types of Pringles, 3 different types of Dorito. Like,
if you're picking Pringles, my friend. Ooh.
This is very, very specific. As
Okay.
It's not a broad. Like you can't just take jalapeno chips. It's got to be like XX jalapeno chips. If that makes sense.
Gotcha. Okay. I am going to go with. Let me make sure I get the name right.
This is
Sorry,
worrisome.
I should look this up. Spicy sweet chili Doritos 1-1.
Great pick.
That's the purple bag for those who don't know.
Yep, had that on my list. I was worried that you were going to take mine because you're like, I've got to look up exactly how this is. Because this was an easy 1-1. This is what sparked me wanting to have this draft. As my buddies and I were having this debate at poker night on Saturday when someone brought a bag of cheddar and sour cream Ruffles. The best chips of all time.
That's your number. That's what changed the whole conversation, of the whole mindset of chips, was that flavor.
I mean, someone brought them and we were all like, what's the best type of chips? And we were like, I think it's these. It was like a unanimous among like 9 of us that were playing poker. Cheddar and sour cream Ruffles. Delicious.
Those are really good. I'll give you that. That was.
I
on my
mean,
list.
they are good, but I don't even think they're the best Ruffle flavor. My opinion.
Well, you're insane then.
I am going. I think if you know, you know. There's going to be a couple chip brands that I don't know if you guys are familiar with. My number 1 pick for me, Miss Vicky's spicy dill pickle chips, the best chips on the planet.
Had them on my list.
If I had the first pick, that's the first pick I would have taken. The fact that it slid to 3 is great for me. Miss Vicky's spicy dill pickle chips. Sometimes I find them at Costco if I'm lucky enough, and if there's like a pallet of them, we probably buy at least 3 of them because you just don't know when you're going to see those things again. So that's going to be my number 1. My second pick, I think I've got some chips on here that you guys are not going to even know about or come close to. My second pick, you either love them or you hate them, but I'm an onion guy, and I'm going Funyuns.
Wow.
Love Funyuns. Funyuns are one of my favorite chips on the planet. Good with anything. Good at the pool, beach, home, whatever you want to do. You're making a sandwich, have some Funyuns. I love onions, though. I'm a big onion guy. I want my breath stinking after I eat those, too. My breath's going to be smelling pretty good after those. You don't have to worry about the vampires, but
we kind of have the same philosophy of like, we have stuff that we could get in the last 2 rounds and no one would sniff it. I respect the integrity of picking what you actually think is your second pick. Because Funyuns was nowhere near my list.
Yeah, I didn't have Funyuns on my list, but I'll eat them. Like, at the end of the day, it's chips. I like almost every type of chip.
so good.
I think I've got a very, very easy next 2 picks if I can get back to one of these. I'm going to take Cool Ranch Doritos with my second pick. My favorite type of Doritos.
Classic.
It's great with if you're stopping at a gas station and getting it's like, oh yeah, $4 for a hot dog and a bag of chips. Cool Ranch is that pick every single time. It's one of those that you can have 100 times in your life, never get sick of it. Can't overthink it. Cool Ranch Doritos.
Speaking of not overthinking, I'm going to run the football. I'm going tortilla chips. I don't care what brand, just straight up plain tortilla chips.
Okay. I think
That's with like no salsa or anything. You're just eating tortilla.
Well, no,
chips.
I mean like I'm drafting it as the what do we
the
wanna
higher
call this?
powers of bigger than 12 are telling me you've got to pick a brand.
Oh, I got to pick a brand on the board. Is it on the border? Is that the big bags?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Elite tortilla chips with queso. I don't know if I get to draft queso or not, but
I think it's implied.
I'm driving it as the vehicle.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do. That doesn't count.
No, I think you're right, but I'm taking.
I mean, I'm not putting
as the
queso.
vehicle.
I'm not putting
Yeah.
queso on the graphic, but I think it's implied when
that's
you're
fair.
eating tortilla chips
Yeah.
that you're having it with something.
Yeah,
Just
I
like when
plain
you're
tortilla
eating-
chips, though.
Aiden-
Love them.
I like plain tortilla chips too. That's probably sacrilegious
love
for
it down here.
Duke.
Yeah, you don't eat tortilla chips by themselves. But I will say this, down here, there are no less than probably 50 places in San Antonio where you can just get homemade bags of tortilla chips, like these giant ass bags for like $3. And they just fried them like that day.
Elite. My second pick, I'm kind of sick in the same vein. I'm going with Tostitos Hint of Lime tortilla chips. I don't know if you guys have ever had
are
those.
So good.
It's a nice little twist on a tortilla chip.
I'm gonna have to get creative with the graphic this week because these names are all so long.
Yeah, good luck.
I might need to change the format. Hint of lime tortilla chips. Yeah, that's a good. I love lime. Like I'm a sucker for lime chips, lime beer. Love them. Lime on tacos. You know what? I've already picked two of the biggest chip brands. I might as well just stick in that realm of going popular, but popular for a reason. Garden salsa sun chips. I think the original sun chip flavor.
Sun chips, really. Out of all the things, sun chips.
Sun chips are awesome. I love me some garden salsa sun chips.
It's like
Now,
what a white
you're-
guy in his
you're turning-
40s just would eat. That'd be like his favorite chip. Some white guy that's like 45 would be garden salsa sun chips. I'm gonna say I'm a little surprised. I was gonna pick this for my second pick, but I'm gonna go just jalapeno kettle chips. I'm gonna stick with my brand Miss Vicky's jalapeno kettle chips. I think it's, if not for the spicy dill pickle chips, if I'm looking for a potato chip flavor, I think jalapeno, the kettle chips are elite, for me at least. Boy. I'm going to go with the classic. Jake, you said Cool Ranch. I'm going to go nacho cheese Doritos.
Yep.
Good pick.
Can't
A
beat
little
it.
surprised that it lasted this long, so I'm going to go nacho cheese Doritos.
I think I would have taken it had I not already gotten another brand of Doritos.
That's
But
fair.
yeah, you can't. You could argue that this is the GOAT, and it fell to the. Would it be the fourth round?
I got to steal.
Yeah. That's a steal. Good pick. Oh man. I think I'm gonna go chili cheese Fritos.
Those are good.
A little off the board. I couldn't tell you the last time I had them, but man, they're the type of chips that get your hands dirty after. Like those are. I like normal Fritos mainly because the texture. Like I think they have some of the best texture for chips, and then you throw in the chili cheese flavor. Those are some delicious. That's a good road trip bag of chips.
Are you like a bean dip kind of guy with the Fritos?
Not.
I do like
I've done
a good
party dip, like the AE party dip with Fritos. That's more built for Ruffles, though. You're not gonna sit here and say you don't like the AE party dip, are you?
I don't think I've ever had it.
Well, that sounds just like Duke, just judging something before you've tried it.
It's fair.
It's sacrilegious here in the state of Iowa. You should try some when you come up. That's like a. That's an Iowa.
I'll try some.
That's an Iowa get-together staple.
My last two picks, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going Lay's sour cream and onion for my first pick.
Dang,
Oh,
good
that's
pick.
good. Good pick.
Thought
that's
I was
on
going
my
to get
list
that
for
on the
sure.
swing.
Yeah.
And then
That was on my list too.
my last pick is Harvest Cheddar sun chips.
Yep. Those are great. You're on an island there, Duke.
I'm not even gonna write that down. Usually I write your guys' picks, but I refuse to write Sunshine.
Wait, why do you write them down? So you don't take them
To know
again?
it's taken.
That's fair.
Just to know it's taken. I always keep.
See, I write them down for my graphic making purposes. Dang, Aiden, that's a good pick. I'd love those. Well, jalapenos off the board. The sweet chili Doritos are off the board. A lot of my picks have been taken. I'm going to take baked Lay's original. Don't get me wrong, I almost never go for the healthier option if I'm getting junk food. But for some reason, the baked Lay's are better than actual Lay's potato chips. I don't know if it's the texture, it's the crunch.
It's a better crunch.
Yeah, it is the better crunch, and they taste about the same. If not better. Like, I think they might have more salt on the baked ones. I don't know. I love baked Lay's.
You must be baked while eating those things, because ain't nobody likes those. Ain't nobody likes those.
You know, everybody likes those.
Nobody likes those. Man, I got a lot of flavors left and chips on my thing. This is the last pick of the whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
I'm still waiting for you hyped up your draft to be like, I don't know if anybody's has ever heard of these.
Because there's so many big players left on the table. Like, I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Zapp's chips? Like, I love Zapp's chips.
The New Orleans
ones are fantastic.
I've got the Voodoo chips. I got the Cajun Crawtator chips on my list. But there's a big player in here that I don't know if anybody's brought up. I don't even think anybody's brought up the original flavor of these. I'm going hot Cheetos. Hot Cheetos, I think for me, I love the spice level of them. Again, maybe not the best thing with like a sandwich, but if you're just like cracking open a bag of chips, just watching TV, you're starting to throw down those hot Cheetos. You don't know how many of those you ate. Your tongue's a little warm, but damn, I love some hot Cheetos. Again, nobody picked Cheetos, I think, at all in this draft, but I feel like Cheetos deserve some kind of... They're on your list, but they deserve some kind of representation on this draft, and no better way to do it with hot Cheetos.
The council has officially determined that Cheetos are considered a chip. They had to think about it for a second.
I was also nervous about the council. I didn't want to.
Chip.
I mean, it is a chip. It's less of a chip than a Dorito, though. Right?
It's still a chip.
A chip is a spectrum. It's a chip.
Oh my God. I'm not in science class, my man. We're talking about chips.
Hey, that's why we leave it up to the council to decide. I think it's a chip. I just wasn't sure what the council thought backstage.
I feel great about this draft. I think I can win 3 in a row with my picks.
That was a good draft. Any key honorable mentions?
Yeah, I talked about the Zapp's brand. I don't know how familiar you guys said you've heard of it before. The Zapp's brand is pretty much everywhere down here. I could have went with Zapp's just jalapeno chips. They have, I think it's Gator dill pickle chips, Voodoo chips, Cajun Crawtator chips. Their entire lineup is incredible. I think it's just a step below. Like, I'm a big Miss Vicky's chip guy, so that's why I picked a couple Miss Vicky's chips. But great chip brand, absolutely elite.
I had pizza Pringles as an honorable mention.
Just Pringles are just such a bad chip.
I wasn't sure if I was gonna. I didn't know if the council would accept this, so I didn't take it. The cheddar Chex Mix, but I feel like Chex Mix is probably...
It's kind of a different thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Past the point of potato or tortilla at that point.
And then a very...
This is corn.
A staple that didn't get picked, just classic Lay's barbecue chips.
Yeah, barbecue to me is hit or miss. It's either like I like the barbecue chip or I don't like it. There's really no in between, but I also don't... If I'm buying chips, I'm not looking at barbecue as one of the flavors. I think salt and pepper chips was on my list as well. I do like a good salt and pepper kettle chip.
But yeah, you took both my Miss Vicky's, the spicy dill, jalapeno.
Spicy dill is number one. That to me, I would take, if you gave me the option of any chips I had and I can only pick 5 bags, I would pick 5 bags of spicy dill pickles. Spicy dill pickle Miss Vicky chips. All 5.
Well, be sure to vote in our poll later this week on Iowa Everywhere. We'll have one more draft, and then the season's here, and Whiskey River will go back to sponsoring our power rankings of Big 12 teams. But for now, this has been Bigger Than 12 in the Channel Seed Studios. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already. Helps us out a lot. Thank you for tuning in to Iowa Everywhere right here in the Channel Seed Studios.